that you were involved with, was it keeping Federal Express out of bankruptcy in the 1980s, which of course is a household.
It was earlier than that. It was in the 70s. Newcourt Securities had also a venture capital affiliate called Newcourt Partners, and they had put $70 million over a period of time into Federal Express. At first it started out that Fred Smith thought $10 million of capital would get him to the crossover point to be cash positive. Then it got to be 25, then it got to be 50, then it got to be 75. And when it got to be 75, Citibank and some others were a little fed up with the situation. They were lenders to it, and they thought about putting it into bankruptcy. We convinced them not to do it, and 1 year later, Federal Express went public and became Federal.
Mm-hmm. Wow, that's a great story. What were the sort of key considerations in keeping the banks from, I guess, foreclosing on the loans?
Well, in our case, it was great fear because we wouldn't have been in very good shape as the equity. But there really was a plausible case. In fact, it was so plausible it turned out to be true. Mm-hmm. So they made the right decision not to put it in. Mm-hmm. It was just that people get battle weary after a while, after numbers are not made. People get worn out.
Get the sense Federal Express has made plenty of numbers since then. They employ
Sure
300,000 people, and that's it's great that you had that impact back then. And I think it has an interesting lesson. I mean, one of the things you said is that personal qualities you like in financial analysts are integrity, intelligence, and diligence.
Right.
And I believe what you like in financial analysts is very similar to what the New York Society likes and seeks in financial analysts. Integrity is really core to our mission here, and I'm curious if you what role you see for the New York Society of Securities Analysts in the industry as a model for financial analysts going forward.
Well, I think there is a need in any kind of a professional service industry for professional organizations that deal with the fundamental issues of professionalism, but also provide interchange among people, have guest speakers, have company speakers, have a variety of things to bring in intellectual content to the process as well.
Well, thank you for that. I think our leadership thinks the same way you do about what our mission is, and I think we're going in the right direction. At some point, you had realized that you didn't want to be just an advisor, which is a really important role, but also be the manager of capital.
Right.
So maybe could you unpack that experience for us and help us understand how you made that transition and got the confidence of investors to make that transition?
Sure. Okay. Well, I was at Rothschild at the time and was running their global restructuring practice based in New York, but we were operating all over the place, coordinating with their local offices in the different jurisdictions. So by 1997, the fee structure was getting to be quite attractive, quite high fees per month, and success fees and all kinds of things brought in. But our fees were so expensive that unless the company had several $100 million of assets, they couldn't afford to have us in the case. So we decided, let's figure out a way also to participate in smaller bankruptcies. And so the original idea was to use what then was called Rothschild Recovery Fund to invest in smaller companies as they get into trouble. So that way we could cover the whole spectrum between the major companies and the small ones. And from 1997 till early 2000, ran both activities, the restructuring advisory and the fund. And by early 2000, the team and I decided that we liked investing better than we liked the advisory work. So on April Fool's Day of 2000, I bought the business from Rothschild and modestly renamed it W.L. Ross & Co. Named the funds WLR Recovery Funds. So that's how it all evolved.